The truth is, that's why I brought it up, because almost all systems work with bonds. So there are physical bonds that work with finance or fear. So remember that program that, yes, the universe is full of demons, but only I can take them off. So we know this bond. It works with fear.
What is Reality Way? The path of life, first formalized and formulated by Dr. Gabriel through the practices and experiences of which man reaches the state of grace, the realization, the reality referred to by many older spiritual traditions. The system of reality transcends the scientific, philosophical, religious, or spiritual systems we know today by acknowledging and embracing them all. It is based on the Reality Codex, first published in Hungary in 2023, which is a simple, practical guide to the process of realization, where man is able to see himself, the external world, and the purpose of life on Earth in reality. According to the followers of reality, it can give real answers to the most difficult questions of life on Earth, such as, who are we? Where are we going? What is our purpose? Is there a God? And if so, where?
Are bonds something we brought from previous lives?
We talked about this. In relation of bonds, this causes a small clash in me. I've heard from several friends. They want a healer to get bondage taken off. And that strikes a chord with me because I'm not sure. Is it something that others impose on us? Is it something we brought from previous lives? Or do we bind ourselves to others through different feelings?
I am happy to answer very briefly. Yes, from a previous life. The reason why it was included in the meditation in September was to dissolve the vows, because the vow alone is for life, for example. The vow is for eternity. The vow is for so long. Scientology uses it, for example, but other traditions also. The pledge is valid until it is lifted. So if I make a vow now, so we don't make a vow here either, then it will accompany us until we dissolve it. But who will remember that? So avoid vows as much as possible, because it will affect what we do next. By the way, the bandages, the truth is, that's why I brought it up, because almost everything works with systemic bonds. So there are physical bonds that work with financial or fear. So remember that program that, yes, the universe is full of demons, but only I can take them off you. So we know it, we are bored of it, binding, working with fear, or whatever. I don't have Oliver here now, who called me from the Netherlands, who asked me to come here at the time and said he would go to the Netherlands to do a book like this. I said, go and experience it. Now he's called me in a panic. He can't come home. And then I said, why didn't he say they had to give all their wealth, all their values, and now they're being slaved, they're being worked all day long? And it seems that everybody who leaves is all sick. A lot of people have died. When somebody leaves, they all chant together afterwards that they must be sick, and I don't know, and they don't dare come. This is also bond. It's also a bonding. When, what do I know, the Catholic Christian Church uses the mantra, with holy oil, you were born in sin, and you will die in sin. It just doesn't matter that we're physically connected. It is also bonding when the Reiki master draws many new lines on your forehead while murmuring someone's name, or draws a lip scar on your forehead while thinking of someone. Mental bond, emotional bond, or astral bond. When somebody creates an addiction, a beloved sexual or love addiction, where you can only get that experience of love or that so-called spiritual pleasure from them. That's an astral bond. So be very careful about this, because almost all systems use it. Scientology, for example, works this way without hurting, but it binds on all three planes. After that, it basically lives off people's money and energy. But there are so many systems in use. I could list them in Hungary, but I won't. Let's be mindful of that we are working here to be as free as possible from all attachments, all agendas, all old, outdated belief systems, and you decide what your direction is, what your favorite pastime is, how you meditate, how you move along the path, at what speed, etc. Everywhere where you feel. And that's why reality is very brilliant. For example, because here you experience, I know, because I've worked very hard on this, that there are no expectations and no attachments, no financial, no fear. I always say here, there's nothing to fear. Everything in the universe works for us. There is nothing against us, but sometimes our own mind. Astrally, it's completely free. Everyone lives as they want to live, preferably live love, but love is neutral. It has no positive and negative sides. It cannot be bound. We don't use more mental programming to draw on your forehead. We don't use avatars. We don't use that. Precisely because this is reality. There are no ties here. There is no obligation, no dogma, no nothing. And that's very much because if you go to other places, you'll notice immediately if somebody wants to manipulate you on any level, wants to bind you, wants to chain you, and preferably, if you experience that, take your hat off. Here we are working on the opposite, working to make sure that you are not wearing bandages. The whole point, if there's any point to the great spiritual traditions, is how much you can free yourself from the bondages, from the physical body, from the feelings, from the thoughts, how much you can bring yourself back, into divine consciousness. But in divine consciousness, there is no bondage. But they use systems, especially think of banks, so we don't really see systems that are completely bond-free. But when someone uses a bandage, it always comes from the ego. The other side of the question is very correct, that I am holding up the bandage. So if a fear is generated in me and I maintain that fear, I maintain the bond with the system. When I realize that I have nothing to fear, nothing to be attached to, I am not dependent on anyone or anything. Remember the old mantra. The master is not dependent on anyone or anything, totally free. Our addictions, when we let go of them, when we discover them and we don't allow ourselves to do anything else, let me take responsibility for my own life. So when I see systems, you will know right away exactly if someone is trying to bind you or influence you or trick you or take advantage of you on any level. I'm sure you'll notice, so don't hold your breath. And if you feel attached to something you don't want to be attached to, then take note and then cut. Like Gulliver was tied up by the dwarves. Don't let it